Here we go. The cost of pro golf is expensive. Is it a scam? Well, we're gonna find out. So, if you guys know me, I am an amateur golfer, but I like to look into the pro golf world because there's a lot of interesting things that happen. And especially since the last few years, everything's kind of opened up a lot. And I mean a lot. But if you guys are new here, my name is Peavy. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell because bangers every week. Let's go, baby. So I'm gonna run through a few things here. I'm gonna go over what pro golf actually costs. I've read a lot of articles, talked to a lot of people, and then I'm gonna talk about amateur golf and what tournaments I'm gonna be playing in because you guys know it's about to get warm and golf season is back. Even though I've kept on playing, but it's back. Maybe you guys are starting to pick it up. Maybe the weather's getting a little bit warmer wherever you guys are. And let's go. I know a lot of you guys are amateur golfers and you kind of resonate with my story because I'm just trying to become the best golfer I can, whether that be amateur golf or, hey, if I try for one of these tours that I'm gonna talk about. Here we go. Number one, the cost of pro golf. If you ask anybody the cost of pro golf, to start out, we're not talking about PGA Tour professionals. We're talking about professionals who are trying to get on to the PGA Tour, which is insanely hard, and it takes a lot of money. So I've seen many articles and heard many stories that the magic number for them to make it would be $50,000. This is just under the average American salary. So that's $59,000, so $9,000 less, and all you're doing is playing golf every day. This does include their living and their food, so you gotta be very strategic on all your stuff because you gotta travel to tournaments. And we're gonna get into a spreadsheet that I have made personally, and yeah, it gets super interesting on all the cost of pro golf. So $50,000, that's a lot of money just to play golf. But what if you don't have $50,000 to play golf? I mean, not everybody has that. And I know for sure nobody's gonna give me $50,000 to play golf. How do they get this? So I'm gonna go through our second thing, and that is how do they cover these costs of $50,000? Number one, sponsors. So there's multiple ways to get sponsored. That's club brands, apparel deals, and also just random things. It could be a car company. Toyota, sponsor me. I got an 03 Camry with 361,000. I mean, that's like a poster boy right here. The Toyota Camaro. All right, so yeah, I mean, they have car companies, they really do. And I mean, is this gonna be a big paycheck, especially if you're not a well-known golfer coming out of college? Well, no. I mean, you may get like $500 a month, which really doesn't go a long way. At $6,000 for the year, but hey, it's better than nothing. It's definitely better than nothing. That actually brings me to, sponsors are huge, and I actually have sponsors. And hey, today's sponsor is sponsored by Vice Golf. Truly makes the best balls for the best quality for the best price. This lets me continue to make videos and perform the best golf I can. And that's what we're all about today. We're talking money about golf. Why pro golf is so expensive. The whole game of golf is pretty expensive. When you buy 5 dozen, you get each pack for $31.99. You cannot beat that. And once you go to them, you won't ever go back. I mean, it's true. Like, watch this. We're just gonna broom these in. And personally, I play the Vice Pro Plus. This gives me the perfect feel on the greens, and along with that, gets me a little extra distance on the golf course. I mean, the feel is so good. It's so good. And you can't beat that. I love their company. They're so good to me. Go check them out. Start playing Vice, guys. Come on, let's go. Let's go. So $31.99 if you buy 5. That's a deal you guys cannot beat. Number 2 option on getting this $50,000. Now this is a very interesting way. I've heard many stories and heard personal experiences about this way. And that is a rich man sponsors you. A man who has money sponsors you. Yes, this is a real thing. So say for instance, this man and his friends at a very private golf course. This is a real story now. A player has no money. They just straight out of college. They can't, for them to make it, it's gonna be hard to work. So these rich guys come in and they sit players down and they choose who they want to sponsor. So they're like, for example, they will say, hey, we want you and what we're willing to do is give you $50,000 for the year. This is what you get, and the way they look at it is kind of like a horse or a gamble or an investment. I'm gonna say investment. For them, this is an investment. They're putting $50,000 into this player who has potential to go onto the PGA Tour. So how do they get their money back? Well, say this player goes and wins $5,000 in a tournament. Well, they get that $5,000. As a player, you would not get anything. So up until you hit your $50,000 threshold. And then after that, the sponsor would get 10% of your earnings. So say for instance, you Monday qualify, you get hot and you get a top 10, you're making $200,000. Well, you would pay back that $50,000, and then that $150,000 would be 10% back to them. They would get $15,000 and you would keep the rest. Which, hey, if you are a dog and they believe in you and you start tearing it up and you don't have the funds to start it out, this is a great option. Finding these people that actually do this is a very hard thing, but there are people that do this and it's a very interesting way. And you know, for them, they're like, this is kind of cool. They kind of help this person fulfill their dream in a way, but they also get an investment back. So very business-like. So number 3 is tournament winnings. If you don't have people backing you, well, tournament winnings is pretty much what you're gonna get, if anything, with your money. And you know, many tour events are just not gonna pay the bills. You're probably gonna be negative every year unless your parents can back you. But if your parents don't have, you know, a substantial amount of money, it's not gonna happen. And it's very interesting. I don't really agree with how expensive these tournaments are. And I actually have a spreadsheet of the cost of Q School and the cost of some pro tournaments and the cost of my tournaments, which is actually kind of surprising of how much it is. But let's just talk about a personal experience that I've seen come into fruition, and that is Aldridge, who I went down the second stage and saw him win. He was playing with George Bryan. He won, got status on the Korn Ferry, and he went to final stage at Q School. Didn't get a top 25 card. It's about time they actually give PGA Tour cards in Q School. I mean, what's up, PGA Tour? I think, honestly, in my personal opinion, I think Liv pushed them to actually start doing better and giving a better option to get into pro golf. I mean, it's about freaking time. Don't get me riled up though. But Aldridge, he went on to the Korn Ferry, didn't get his top 25, goes on there, wins. I mean, this kid's a dog, 19 years old, shot 59 already on the Korn Ferry, won $196,000. I mean, just like that, he kind of just propelled his way into the 2025 season. If he doesn't win a few more times, I mean, he would already be on the PGA Tour this year. So he's first on the points leader. I mean, he's gonna make it, and it's just cool to see. I saw him play before he actually kind of made it. You know, if I was a person sponsoring somebody, I feel like I would be the same way. Like, that's cool. I saw it when it was about to happen, and just that growth, that's really cool to see. And the last thing is PGA Tour Americas is a new thing. This actually, they'll be giving away 10 cards on PGA Tour Americas onto Korn Ferry. That's actually bigger than it's ever been, surprisingly. And you know, they say PGA Tour Americas, none of the events are actually in America. They're still in Mexico. I mean, if I qualified for that, that'd be tough to go down there because yeah, it's tough down there. And then it's in Canada. So you'd literally go Canada, Mexico, Canada, Mexico. That would be travel expenses. But hey, at least they have a little bit more options, and hey, you know, at least the tour is actually trying now. Why do they make Q schools so expensive, man? Let's just go over it. I mean, Q school, here it is, you ready? DP World Tour, which is the European Q School, actually is pretty affordable. It's $3,200 for the first stage, and you don't have to pay anything to advance. You just pay all your travel, which I think it comes around $10,000 after travel expenses. Q School, ready for this? Pre-qualifying, $2,500. First stage, $3,000. Second stage, $4,500. Final stage, $4,000. That comes to a total cost of $14,000. And a few articles say that traveling costs, I mean, you're around roughly $20,000 deep, and you get maybe some status for $20,000. So if you're doing this on your own, like George was, I mean, he probably spent $15,000. Let's just be honest. That's a lot of money just to get nothing. I mean, he got nothing. I mean, he got content out of it, but yeah, wow. And you know, just to do Monday qualifiers, you're looking at around $1,000 to $2,000 per qualifier depends on where you're traveling. So, I mean, this stuff is expensive. You know, the tour, I mean, they just said it in the article. They say they just don't want anyone to play in this event. I get it, because I did have one guy shoot a 50 on me who looked like he never played golf. Scott, where you at? Still at the Chili's? Oh, but I mean, I get it. Why are you gonna take away that from somebody who really tries and someone who just doesn't have the funds? I just don't get that part. Kind of scammy to me. So yeah, I mean, that's the cost of pro golf. Let's get into amateur golf now. This is what I'm into. I do play in some pro events. I mean, amateur golf is, you know, growing up, it's usually covered by your parents. If you're not, you're usually picking up a side job and you pay for your tournaments. Pretty expensive. I mean, they're like $100 a piece, and that adds up just to get nothing. I mean, you may get some pro shop credits, which is no winnings, but you get pro shop credits, and it's actually pretty expensive. It's kind of crazy. So what tournaments am I gonna be playing in this year? These are my major tournaments. I may play in some other ones, but we have the US Open qualifier. That's coming up in April. Then we have the State Mid-Am qualifier. And then we have the US Am qualifier, the US Mid-Am qualifier, and then the State Am qualifier, the RSM qualifier, the Georgia Open qualifier, the Yamaha Atlanta Open. I may or may not play in this. The Dogwood Invitational qualifier, may or may not. Southeastern Am qualifier. Definitely probably gonna try to qualify for that one, because that's where I won a qualifier one for the Mid-Am. So I think I'd have pretty good odds. So the average cost of these tournaments are pretty hefty. I mean, you're looking at just a cost of qualifier, and then there's an advancement fee. So I added it up on what it would cost for me. The guaranteed ones that I already said would be $1,200. I mean, I get content and I get competition, but you ain't getting no dollars. I mean, you're getting pro shop credit, and that does, to me, it's not really worth anything. I buy shoes. Total cost of tournaments, if I'm playing in all, you ready? $7,900, and that is if I make the advancement fees and everything. I mean, that is crazy. Oh my gosh, that is actually kind of wild. And that does not even include travel expenses, which that would be roughly estimated $1,000. So you're looking close to $9,000 in amateur golf, and you get nothing. The only thing I'm glad this year that they changed are the state AMs, is the winner actually gets an automatic bid to the US AM. It's about time. I mean, they used to do it in Bobby Jones' era. Why don't they do it now? Well, they finally started. You know, they have made it so hard to make it on to these little tournaments, and it's kind of ridiculous, but it's whatever. So these are the ones I'm gonna try to be playing in, and I did include me trying to play in the Q schools. So that's one of the $7,900, so $9,000. So yeah, Q school. I don't know how much it would be for the Americas tour, because I think that would be a little cheaper, and it'd probably just be one qualifier. It'd probably be like $3,500, and what I would do is play in that, and if I got status, then I would have to, travel expenses would be out the roof. But hey, maybe I'd get some more sponsors, and maybe have a potential person back me up. You never know. One of the questions I deal with is like, is it really worth it to turn professional? To me, no, because it opens up a lot more tournaments for me to play in. You know, if I catch a heater and, you know, it just happens to be, you know, honestly, it's just like Nick Dunlap. I mean, the guy went on to win a PGA Tour event as an amateur, first time in a long time, probably since Bobby Jones. But I mean, the guy, I mean, that's the way to do it. Even if you were a top 10, maybe, because you get to play the next week and you can turn pro and make winnings the next week. So, I mean, sponsor would be, I mean, they would be flooding it. They would be flooding it. You know, sandbagger would be to the moon, you know? The ultimate sandbag and move, amateur golfer winning a PGA Tour event, Nick Dunlap, that's pretty sandbaggy. So, I mean, that would be the move, is to, I mean, win a PGA Tour event and then, or even top 10 in advance the next week and play in these big events and get sponsor invites and everything. So yeah, is it worth it for me? No, not right now, unless I catch a heater. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, a little bit different video, but I just like to go into this, and as we get fired up, the year of the sandbagger's coming, a lot of tournaments gonna be played. That's what I love to do. I love to play in tournaments. I love for you guys to play in tournaments. Go out there, play in some tournaments, even if it's just a small tournament, go and do it. To me, I mean, it's priceless, because hey, if you don't play, you can't win. That's what I say. So I love you guys. and I'll see you in the next banger. It's about to get crazy, baby. It's about to get crazy. Let's go. Love you.
Hey, Bill, I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup.